I really do. We're recording. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Rebel Nation, this is the weekly Rebel Roundtable for April 10th, 2018. Got about 27 people in the house. I'm going to get Scott Peterson in to make 28. I've got a lot to talk about tonight, but I'm not going to do a lot of talking for a change. I'm going to mute myself after Clark takes over, and I'm just going to sit back and watch. But before we get into that, we start the meeting like we start every meeting by reading the four commitments, the four rebel commitments. And as I pull it up, this will give you a chance to mute yourselves so I don't hear you. Rebel commitments, actual. And here we go. Oh, see, I gave you a chance. Didn't do it. Somebody's not muted. I'm going to mute Dave because it looks like he's making all the noise. Nope. How about Ryan David? Any other one else making a noise? Ha-ha. Ha-ha. All right. All right. That is enough. Okay. Rebel commitments. In order to maintain clarity of purpose, we ask that every member of the Rebel community make the following commitments. Commitment number 1, I will protect the value of my services. I will not devalue the services of another professional by providing anti-competitive bids. I will not allow my work product to be used by a third party against an insured or fellow restoration professional. That's a new one. I like that one. I will never provide free services, as this would only serve to erode the value of similar services industry-wide. Commitment number 2, I will practice incredible transparency. I will explain our processes in detail to my clients. I will never hide details or manipulate reports. I will never communicate with a third party without also communicating with my client. Commitment number 3, I do not believe in competition. The restoration professionals in my market are part of my community. I will be an active member of that community. It is our unbreakable unity that will create the change that we strive for. Commitment number 4, I am willing to walk away from any project, client, or contract that's not compatible with my values and stated mission. Healthy relationships do not require us to give up money, sleep, or our humanity. Yes, yes, sir. Why do I get so pumped up every time I read that? I'll tell you why. Because it's working. It's actually working. We are making a difference. We are scaring the powers that be, and we are helping our fellow restoration professionals to degrees that we had no idea that we were going to be able to do it. But it's happening, and it will continue to happen. We've got 3 weeks until the summit. Things are coming together. We've got, I think we have 160 people. Correct me, at least 150. So in between there, a lot of action going to come down to Nashville. A couple of people waiting outside the room. Dean Malstead, why don't you come on down? And the legendary Mr. Jonathan Grubb in the house. Okay. As I said, I'm not going to say a lot tonight. Clark and Mr. Meyer are going to take this thing away and run the show. I'm glad to have you guys. I'm excited to watch all this. I got to say it one more time. You guys inspire me. You guys, seeing a room of professionals like this and knowing that we've all come together for a common purpose just makes me happy. Makes me happy. Love you guys. All right, I'm muting. Clark, you're on.
Well, I'm going to have some help tonight with Dave. I'll start it out. I do want to start. I do have an agenda here. We are going to move through pretty quickly on some of these things, but we're going to leave some space in here to talk about them. First thing we always talk about, is there any new members here? I have a full screen, but I don't know if I see anyone here that's never been here. Jason Harper, have you been in the group before on the call? And I don't have.
Yes, sir.
You have been here before? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hello again. I don't know if we have anybody new. I thought we did. I thought I saw someone. Steve, have you been here before? Steve Slater? You're unmute yourself, boss.
There you go. No, I have not. This is actually my first roundtable.
Well, tell us about yourself, where you're from, a little bit about your company, how long you've been a member.
Well, I just became a member today. I had a nice conversation with Jonathan, and he had requested that I enjoy and, listen to you guys talk and join the roundtable tonight. I'm actually from Elkton, Maryland. I'm on the East Coast, and I do work with Recovery Solutions Group, and we're actually a good player with the firewater restoration industry and providing different collection services for issues that, owners and people may face, when doing the jobs.
Give me my money.
I think everybody's ears just perked up all in unison. It was real. It looked like a bunch of prairie dogs on the. Everybody, you said collections, and it made everybody step up.
Yes.
Well, welcome, and feel free to contribute as you will. I probably assume, knowing Jonathan like I do, that he's going to try to make a targeted interview with you and kind of get some information and things like that. That's what Jonathan's good at.
We have discussed that, so that's in the work.
Perfect. Quick topics. I wanted to hit a few things in the group this week. First, I wanted to thank Parker. I think Parker's here. He's mowing his yard over here. Yep. Hi. Parker just dropped a nugget of great information. It was actually a repost of something that Actionable Insights, our great friend Mark Wally, who just continues to provide a great service of Actionable Insights. And I think I was talking before the call started to Stephen Ardeno, $7 a month. Everybody should be having Actionable Insights for its wealth of knowledge. And there's probably a lot of things that you didn't know. But just one of them was something that just came up today. And I think Parker was going to put some of that verbiage into his contract, just identifying why the claims process is going the way it is these days, how the McKinsey report that was in 1992 hired by Allstate on figuring out ways to increase their claims delta, and really stuff that a lot of us know and a lot of us, but we just aren't reminded of it nearly enough. So that was a good topic. Tim Fuller.
That came from United Policyholders asked Actionable Insights to put that white paper together. That's been like a 9-month labor of love. They put 9 months into that thing, several revisions. If you look at the revision that we're going to post, it's like revision 49. So this is it's back and forth, but very, very powerful piece of documentation there. 25 or 30 pages. It's good.
It's great. Andy, one more thing. I think you posted it. Was it talking about the feedback that's provided for Xactimate and how
that's in that white paper.
It's in the white paper. So what are those? What's the highlight? So 25% would be from carriers and from adjusters.
65%. 65% are from carriers. Another 20% or 25% is from program contractors, which leaves about 15% left over for the rest of us to give actual real world feedback to the price list. So it's not like it's you just start providing feedback and your prices are going to go up automatically. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be a slog.
It's actually worse than that.
I was making a little more room. Yeah.
It's like 2/3 of it is staff adjusters, and basically another 20, I think you were right, 25% is independent adjusters. Only 10% of it is contractors. 5%.
10% contractors, yeah.
Yep, exactly. So we're screwing ourselves.
Yeah, and what that means for anyone that might not know what we're talking about, that means if Xactimate is pricing its updates based on feedback, the people that are least interested in those prices going up are by miles, 5-time multiplier, are the ones giving that. Then those of us that are wanting it to be raised are doing it very little. So I think the caveat there, the answer to the test, Andy, is what you're trying to say is, if anybody need to get to Ben's class. Ben's coming around. Andy's got one coming up.
Yeah. I asked Ben to put an event together for every single one of the dates he has and put that in the group. We're going to post that up. I've got one coming up in Denver on the 25th. We're going to fill the calendar with these classes because the plain and simple fact is everyone needs to hear this, and there's only 2 of us right now talking about it and giving these courses. We need everyone to learn it and pass it on.
Well, somebody asked the other day in the group, or I think it might have been in the PM, why don't we do that here in the Rebel group? It's not a 1 hour thing. It really is a process. That would not grid an audience. Nobody can sit here and do that live.
Yeah, I mean, we could give you a overview of it for sure, but to teach you how to do your own feedback and your own custom price list, I'm going to do it in a day. Ben does it over 2 days, but he also adds in some really great Xactimate information to fine tune and get some good stuff, kind of ninja hack your Xactimate estimates. But it's a full day. It's going to be a full mind melting day of packing it in. And even then there's going to be some follow-up. So yeah, we could show you an overview in the group, and which we probably will. We need to, but it's not easy.
Hey, gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
Is there any way that we as a group could recruit some people either like Ben or under Ben that maybe we could make that a priority of a movement across the nation for us as restorers?
My idea is to make that part of opening up every Rebel chapter. We're going to have that be part of the curriculum of each chapter.
Yeah, and Andy, I want to add that even on the franchise side right now, they're starting to, like with Paul Davis, they're starting to train the franchisees. They're starting to train on this feedback.
Yep.
Just solely with Paul Davis's group. And I don't know if that's going to happen with the other groups, but I would assume it will.
Yeah, it'll filter down. Scott, you got something to say?
Yes, Raymond is putting together a class in San Diego next Friday the 20th with Watley. I think Watley or Seth Harris is going to be doing a class. So if you guys are in the San Diego area, get with Raymond here about that class.
Will one of you guys put that event in the group as well, or have one of the admin do it? Give me the remind one of us.
Do it. I think Raymond's on here.
Or Nathan, you're in charge of the San Diego Facebook page. Will you do an event and I'll copy it?
Yeah, sure. I'll send you the link over, and you could pop it in. I guess, if anybody's in the local area or they want to come down to it. I think we're trying to keep the class, though, to about 15, 20 people max. If it gets too big, it kind of gets, there's not enough individualized attention if that's going to be needed, which I assume it probably will to a degree or another. So, we'll just take it from there.
Perfect. I promised I'd mute myself, didn't I? I'm doing it for real.
I've been trying to mute you for the last 3 minutes, Andy. Hey, Dave. I'm kidding. Dave, why don't you go ahead and get started about what we're going to talk about tonight?
Okay, so we've been working for probably about 2 months on our mission, vision statements, and looking at those as, like, a lot of people ask, like, what are we about? What is the group? And they have a real hard time understanding it. And I think for us too, it was a process of trying to identify what our group mission would be, especially being that we're a group that we have people that come in our group from all different parts of the industry. Some are restorers, some are from a marketing side, some are from an adjusting side, and really understanding that, like, we all can have a common mission, and without anyone being alienated in something that is truly everybody is needed to impact. And so that process took us through, 3 or 4 different group calls like this, asking a lot of questions, watching videos from several different people of the admins, sharing just, their positions on why they're a rebel, like what drew them to it, what areas they want to see change in the industry. And then we took all that information and we started bringing it together. Spent a couple days with Andy going through the information and writing it out. And then as a team, putting it together in something that would work well for our industry. So what we're going to go over tonight is the mission, what we calling our mission, vision, strategy, and our commitments as a group. And so we've got that finalized, and then this is going to serve the purpose of laying out a foundation and kind of a barometer, if you will, of everything that we do as a group weighed against this, and are we on track for our mission? So this is kind of that starting point that, as an organization, if we had it 9 months ago, it would have been great, but it also maybe wouldn't have reflected the group that we have today and the mindsets that we have today. So I think we're at a really good place to launch this.
Fantastic. I'm sorry, I was reading some Facebook comments. Jonathan Grubb, did you make it in? It looks like you were looking for a way in. Okay. Andy, it looks like the Facebook group is looking for the link. If you can drop that link in the chat. Okay. What's that? Dave, we ready to go ahead and bring the screen share up?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I want to confirm with everyone that they see. Does that screen show it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
So just kind of as we go through this, Clark, I don't know if you want to open up for questions or how you want people to be able to provide feedback. So how do you want to do that?
Yeah, so the first page is a mission. So listen, the commitments are really what we already know, and it's worth mentioning again, but let's go through and the only reason, guys, that we're putting it on the screen, and I will be turning this into a PDF and putting it into files, as well as on the About Me page, the page that most people in a Facebook group go to see, okay, what is this about? What's about me? And then this will be copy and pasted into that part. Yep, somebody's already writing on my screen in green. I like that. So we can, if anybody has any questions, I think it's pretty clear what everything says. But what I want to start by saying is everything that we do as a group moving forward will be centric around, this will be the nucleus of what we stand for. Could this eventually grow? Could some of these things become, like, we may collaborate, but we'll always want to be transparency. So this may grow, we may add to it, but I don't see us ever taking things away from it. But we'll be asking ourselves as leaders, and we'll be judging and holding everybody in the group accountable of our message. If you're speaking on behalf of the Rebels, which everybody here can, let's just make sure it matches what we're about, and it's not something targeted negative, something that we might not would want to be viewed from the outside as. So yeah, so let's read this first page, Dave, and then open up for questions, or if anybody wants some clarity on something.
Okay. So our mission is to take back the restoration industry that we love. Our vision is to have a united family of viable and vibrant restoration professionals operating in an environment of shared prosperity and self-determination. Our strategies are going to be to empower restoration contractors to provide value without undue influence, empower the insured through education and transparency of process, use social and digital tools to create collaboration among industry segments, identify and promote to leadership those who will fight for the future and carry on the mission with integrity and consistency, to develop local restoration professional networks, encourage Rebel involvement in aligned associations, and public accountability for those who seek undue influence and personal gain. So that's our outline. And I mean, I think I'd like to just kind of start, Clark, with our mission and discuss how like to come up with a group, like whether you're an association or what you are, finding that common place. Most people that we ask, why are you in the Restoration Rebel group? Why do you want to be a part of us? They have something that in our businesses or in our industry that's been lost, that is missing, that people are fighting to get back. And that doesn't matter if you're an independent or if you're a franchise. There's something that we are fighting all the time to get back. And I think the majority of it is the direction of our industry and where it's going. We are in an industry that has not been able to shape itself. There's a lot of, I see a lot of trades that talk about, well, a lot of our groups that talk about, we should unionize, we should make this a union trade. And it's not so much about becoming a union. It's about having the ability to shape and direct the future of our industry. So that's where that mission's coming from.
And I want to add here, everyone should be very, very clear, and I doubt I need to say this. I hate to use the word enemies, but there are groups, there are parties that don't want us to be aligned. That this is the last thing that they want to happen, is to have 1,500, 6,000 contractors thinking, talking, doing the same thing, much like a union. So, that's why this is so powerful. This is becoming a desk adjuster on the West Coast may say, hey, we don't pay this. Well, we have examples here. We know for a fact that you do. It's not that you don't, it's you won't. So they don't see this coming. So I think it's just, this is very, other people have tried this. I mean, we've talked about this before. The Rebels, the 2.0 is not the only group currently, and it's certainly not the first time it's ever been attempted. But the trick is to not stop and to continue to adapt and evolve and learn from our mistakes and figure out what's working and what's not. And I think the pricing feedback is working. And I think the conversation and the campaign that we're going to be moving past of O&P and understanding has been a very successful campaign. But it's time to move on to something else. So, yeah, that's our mission. Go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you don't have to apologize. Yeah, and again, if anybody has things that they want to add, I can't really see everybody on from this side, but speak up and ask questions. And if you have concerns on something about how something will impact, how people will perceive us, I think it's important to share those because if you're thinking about it, then somebody else probably has a similar concern. So, okay, so going in like with our vision, we took a position that as a group, there's going to be several things that we want to accomplish. That is kind of our vision is think about it like this, like in 5 years, where do we want to be in 5 years from now? Where do we want to be as an industry in 5 years? And that's where our vision is coming from. It's not a specific task that we want to accomplish. We're going to have those with campaigns that we lay out. We're going to have those, and those may look different for different parts of the country. But this is a kind of a 5-year, where do we want to see our industry or our group within the industry? So vision for United Family. So that would be not just contractors coming together nationally like we're doing now on this call, but when you get on this call, if there's 3 other guys and contractors from your industry or from your local market on this call, that's what I would call a huge success for us. That this call isn't just a national call, but now all of a sudden we've broken it down into regions, right? And it is a united group. So United Family, viable and vibrant professionals. What we've done in our local market since going to the summit in September is we have had probably 8 meetings with our local competitors. Some of them were group meetings, some of them were one-on-one meetings. But Jennifer and I took that and came back from the summit and said, all right, we need to create a roadmap that's local. So if we can work on this locally and create local change, and if our group is working on things nationally, that's what's going to happen. So it's kind of like a top down and a bottom up. So I think United is both a national outlook, but it is going to be, the success is going to be achieved through a local United group of contractors. So viable and vibrant. So viable and vibrant might look different for each one of us in our businesses. I don't think it necessarily has to do with a dollar amount. Like your business does, $3 million a year. Your business does $1 million a year. But I would say what viable does look like is that you're profitable in your business, that it's a sustained business model, that you're able to provide the services and run your business in a way that, how would I describe it, that doesn't make you put all of the pressure and responsibilities on your employees and your team and your families, that burns everybody out because you're trying to make a buck just to survive, right? So that to me is what a viable family of contractors looks like. And then going into vibrant, that, if as a business owner, for me, if I'm making profit, I'm investing that into my business, right? I'm putting that into my team. I'm putting that into my training, the training for my guys. All of that builds and makes our industry something that people are attracted to. We do not have an attractive industry. We have a high burnout rate, especially with technicians. And like the example I'd give you is, we had a serve pro go out of business in our adjoining county. And this happened about 6 weeks ago. I had a chance to talk with one of the guys prior to it going out of business, and was able to reach out to several other people that work there. None of them wanted to stay in the industry. Not a single one of them wanted to stay in the restoration industry because they had been burned out. And I would say that that's a failed model for our industry. And there's reasons why he struggled. But I would say that he wasn't part of a United family, and his business wasn't viable. He was struggling financially, and all that pressure got put down onto his employees and his team. And that type of a model affects our whole industry. So does that help to answer your question, Clark? Or is there more you want to add?
No, I would go back to something you were given definitions of viable and vibrant. I think you said it's different for everyone. I see it as we're holding the bar pretty high. We hold it for ourselves, and we're going to ask to hold it for each other, and we're going to ask you to hold it of everyone else. But doing the right thing and providing and creating a business of the type that we think 2.0 means isn't cheap. And it doesn't come without good business practices, and it doesn't come without profit. And that's why pricing feedback is important. O&P is certainly important, but reinvesting, like Dave said. So again, I think of a good restaurant versus a bad restaurant, or a good movie theater versus a rundown one. The good one is got a good business plan, and they're putting money back into renovations and creating a better experience for their customers, therefore attracting more customers, and then of course increasing their revenue. I talk to contractors all the time that say, I can't afford to use the right guys, or I can't afford to use the best equipment. I get the B air, and that's all I get. And it breaks for me all the time, and it's extremely loud, and I blah, 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 because I'm starving. I'm not making enough money. And again, we go back to this group really started to be weaned off of TPAs. And that's obviously one of our big initiatives, is don't let that be the lion's share of your business. But to me, viable and vibrant means learning and developing a process where you can run a business that's profitable, so that you can start giving the customer the experience you need, putting the right money into the right marketing to attract those customers to your great business, and then therefore letting the garden grow. So that's all I'll add to that.
All right. Do you want to, does anybody have questions or thoughts on mission and vision before we start talking about strategies?
Yeah, please. If anybody, this is everybody. This is ours, not, this is ours as a group, not Andy's or Dave or Clark or anybody.
Does this match what you thought it would be? Maybe. Huh? What are some thoughts that you thought this group was about that it doesn't look like it's about? Come on, folks.
You know, people all the time, the detractors tell me, y'all are just about beating up the adjusters. You're just about O&P. And all I ever say is, you know, I don't see it that way, because I'm obviously here a lot more than most people, but that's the first thing you see if that's most of the comments that are coming into your newsfeed. But I think we're about a lot more than just that. I really do. So this will be the document, and this will be the place where we push everybody that asks that question. What are you about? And what's your goal? What are your things? And
you know, Clark.
Yeah.
You know, Clark, like what you said, you know, everybody says you're just about beating up the adjusters. You know, it's like the loudest people get the most attention. So, you know, the more of us that are just making noise and making it to seem and appear that way, it's going to appear that way to everybody. So, you know, maybe we as a group can make it appear that it's not that way all the time. That there is more to it. And I think this, you know, revamp of our mission statement and whatnot is a great step in that process. So,
yeah, it's a complicated situation, isn't it, Jason? I mean, it's
yes.
not, listen, emotions are attached to this. Some people are fighting for their life to keep their business open, and that doesn't, sometimes a battle seems like it's better than a talk or discussion. If anyone's noticed,
so that first point that you guys said, the first point there was taking back our industry, and that's awesome. That's obviously what the whole group is about. But I think, I don't know, a why there is probably going to be more, I don't know, attractive, I guess. It's not really part of the mission, but what are we taking back? Why do we have to take it back? What have we lost? I think that that's kind of what fires people up, and those are the things that we talk about in the group.
How could we make that a shorter thing, Park? Because I think that would be another 2 pages. How could we condense that to, why are we trying to take it back? What are we taking it back from, right? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I agree for sure. I don't know if there's a way to just pick up, obviously there's dozens of things that we could talk about there. I don't know if there's a way to just pick out 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever and put it in bullet points or something, you know, just a couple words each. I honestly don't know. It was just a thought I had.
I like it. You know, we're in a group with a lot of really smart people. Why don't we put this out to the group for the next couple of days, Dave, and leave this somewhat flexible, pliable for the next 2 weeks, and take some input and keep bringing it back to the top of the page. And listen, like everything else we do, we'll take all the input, because this has never been about a dictatorship. This is a completely open group. What do you think about that, Parker?
I think that was a thumbs up. Yep.
Yeah. So I think that's good. I think it's important so when we work on mission, vision, and values for companies, I mean, you can spend 2-3 days just sitting there revamping it and trying to figure out, does this reflect us, right? And every 12 months, we look at our vision, or our mission, vision, and values, and we look at it and say, okay, does this reflect who we are today, and is this our vision for who we're going to be as a company over the next year, 3 years, and 5 years? I believe that when we go so in my opinion, our mission is to take back the restoration industry that we love. That if we were to ask each person in the room to answer that, every answer is going to be slightly different. And I think it does mean something a little bit different to somebody who does a lot of work with TPAs versus somebody who's an independent. It's going to look a little bit different to somebody who is a public adjuster to somebody who's a marketer, right? And so But I like the idea of putting together a list of things that helped us come to that. So,
well, I'll tell you this: when someone says, "Hey, why are you trying to take back your industry?" in a word or in a sentence, I don't feel like we're in control of it. I feel like we all work for someone else that's not us and it's not our client. And until that happens, I think I will keep that at the top of that becomes our tattoo. I don't feel like we are in control. I feel like we played way too much defense and not enough offense. Let's keep moving. Dave, we can definitely expand upon this in the group. There were a couple of the strategies I think that probably
Stephen had something to say.
Stephen, go ahead. I don't see the hands.
Well, I think, when I joined the Rebel group back in February, or late January, early February, the only thing I was interested was that narrative of O&P. I wanted to see what this was about because I had seen a couple guys that was their focus. And I think that changing that narrative, because it got to be sort of like the Charlie Brown teacher. It was all talk, yeah, but no love, no charity, no reason why. Oh, we just want O&P. So that's why I thought, man, let's join this thing so I can get more profit. But the truth is as a business, if you don't know good, sound business practices, what's that profit going to do for you? Where are you going to put it? Where are you going to reinvest it? How are you going to make it work for you? Because it's just going to burn a hole in your pocket if you don't know what to do with that overhead and profit. And I think, showing guys how to take that, business practice to the restoration industry and learn how to, so we're getting overhead and profit now. Okay. But now what? If that's all you're focused on, that's all you're going to be focused on. But, sort of like a guy taught me how to play Risk a long time ago. If all your focus is on one country, you're doomed from the start. You got to see the whole picture. And I think that's what I see now with the visions and the strategies and the missions. You have an objective that everybody can see now. That it's broader, it's bigger than just O&P.
You know what I hear there, Stephen? If we got to 2,000 members off of people thinking that's all we're about, imagine getting 6,000 with everything that we're about. If that doesn't interest everybody that we're not in this group with, imagine we make that really, really clear. And guys, I want to, and gals, everyone sharing this and letting this be our motto in other groups. And when people ask you about it, and when you do local events with other contractors, there are no competitors. Tell them what we're about. We're not about this. I'm going to call Belfour and tell them what we're about. Anyway, hey, Dave, let's talk about. So go ahead.
I would just want to comment on one. There's one text, Jay Van Newson. He says, it feels like we are dancing around saying that we deserve to make money. Gross profit is what makes the world go around for us. Making a profit isn't dirty. We are capitalists and entrepreneurs at heart. Put it in there. So so me and Andy, we had this conversation where I said, well, Andy, if they literally would just give everybody overhead and profit, right? Pay us for the line items that the service providers are doing and add O&P on, right? No more argument, and get everybody paid within 45 days. Where we were at 6 months ago as a group, it would have, in my opinion, it would have just ended all of our conversations.
Yeah, it would have, all the energy would be gone.
Yeah, because what people we were pushing for is
pain would be gone.
Yeah, exactly. We're getting squeezed, and we need to do something. Something's got to change. And so I think that the answer is yes. We all need profit in our business, but I know businesses that they make a lot of money and they just piss it away and they have zero profit at the end, right? And so it's bigger. If we're going to change our industry and we're going to have profit there 10 years from now, and we're going to have a position where somebody actually wants to buy our business, regardless of the size of your business, we need to have an industry that people want to move into. It needs to be an industry that attracts people. And so I think we can go in and say, yeah, be profitable, but that's what being viable and vibrant is. That's what it means. And it's going to look a little, our strategies that come out of this are going to look different. But they're going to be focused on profit for our businesses, education for our industry, for our people. And all of those things will provide and call it an atmosphere. I think Andy used to refer to it as an ecosystem that is great for our businesses. So
I quit sharing my screen. I couldn't see anything in the screen, but listen, I want to talk. Our strategies were one I want to bring up because again, we're going to move on. We're going to let Joe speak a little bit. Use social and digital tools to create collaboration among industry segments. What do you think that means, Dave?
So social and collaborative, it's what we're doing right here in this group. You know, it is it's taking the time to talk with other people in our industry. I mean, you look at 12 months ago, I don't know how many of you guys were on Facebook communicating with restorers, posting your jobs, getting questions answered. I wasn't, you know, so I just stumbled upon Andy's videos about a year ago.
Last year, honestly, January of last year, how many of y'all, if you had a question about how to dry a structure or had a question about something, did you have someplace to go to get that question answered? Some yes, some no. Some yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So my call, if I needed something, I would have called John Don. That's what I would have done. I would have called the restoration guys in the sales department at John Don. You know, that's what I would have done. But it's not the same as like as this group. And there's a lot of other groups that continue to pop up and grow that are doing this. So social and collaborative spaces. That means, so in my local market, what we now have gotten is a once a month for a lunch where restorers in our market are invited to come to and sit down and have lunch, right? The first month it was 4 restorers. Last month, I think it was 3. We had one meeting where 9 restorers came to listen to one guy speak. And that's what we've done in the last 3 months. So that's our local market. And if we can continue to build on that in our local market by using these strategies, you're going to win your local market. Adjusters, well, number one thing that I hear when we push back with adjusters or O&P is nobody else, right? Nobody else charges this. Nobody else charges for supervisory. Nobody else raises their prices. Nobody else does this. If other people did it, we would have to pay for it, right? So I can either go out and try to convince 5 other restorers in my market to, hey, change your prices or do this or do this, but it doesn't happen like that, right? So the collaborative space right now, it's on a national. Right now, nationally we're working together, but I see it happening locally. And Jennifer and I have, through the relationships we've built in the last 9 months, we've been called out on our competitors' projects. We've consulted with them on projects. We've borrowed equipment. We've rented equipment. We've had that training where 9 other stores showed up. We're having lunches. I mean, there's things that we're doing, and it's taking it takes root in your local market. That's the best way I can describe it. So,
because that's all that really matters, right? Because it's Robert doesn't really care about what happens in Connecticut. It really needs to worry about what happens in his market, right? So,
here, take O&P for an example. And we started talking about O&P. All of a sudden, Parker in his market saying, I get O&P from this company and this company, or Ben gets it from this company, but in my market, I don't get it from that company, but I get it from these 2 companies, but in his market, he doesn't, right? Yeah. So all of a sudden now that collaborative is, it starts to change it really starts to change in your market. And if you can have a roadmap for one market, and every market can change their individual market, all of a sudden that's national change.
let's keep moving. Ofer just said, I think the convention will be a great opportunity to meet our fellow restorer in our area that think about this change. And I think, Ofer, you're 100% right. And that's where we're going to get real. I mean, right now, the chapters is something we want really, really bad, but we just don't have enough time. We actually are running our businesses. We're trying to get the summit to be the best event we can and make sure that the sponsors and speakers are set up. And Joe, I'm about to be there, Joe. I'm going to blaze through this. I'm way off my schedule here. Identify and promote leadership, those who will fight for the future and carry on the mission with integrity and consistency. That means within this group. And jump ahead to encourage rebel involvement in aligned associations. Those two things are connected. So aligned associations would be PIRC, RIA, and some other boards where we want to start planting this mindset of 2.0 into people who don't know who we are and that may not be coming here because they don't know this mission yet. So the only way we can get to them, the people that are not coming to our group, that won't be in our chapters, we have to go to them, and then that's where we start dropping it. So develop local restoration professional networks. That's obviously the chapters, and then public accountability for those who seek undue influence and personal gains. And that just means policing ourselves, right, Dave, in our group. And if you see, if you see somebody acting out,
Yes,
is that what that means?
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Yeah, so I think it's important that I think that this is an important one to talk about. So because this is one that me and Andy, when I was out there, we said this is needed. People need to be held accountable. You know, I had an adjuster say to me about a year and a half ago, you know, do I need to go around town and tell everybody not to refer you from their agent pool, or are you going to lower your price? And that type of a thing, I think people do need to be held accountable. But I think what's going to make the difference is how we hold them accountable is going to be the biggest thing. And that's a strategy that we're still working on, because we've had some things that have been, you know, done that didn't look good on us, and some other things that have worked out really well. So
cool. Well, the rest of the document are the commitments, and pretty much what we already know and have, but they'll be in writing and they'll be very readily available and whatnot. So I think that's going to do that. The other one thing that I did not talk about, and thank you, Dave. This was needed. This was something I know we've been working on, and we really, really wanted to do this weeks and weeks and weeks ago. But it had to be right. And I'd rather do it once right than 3 times wrong and look like buffoons. So I wanted to talk real quick about, and I don't have it in front of me, but if anybody has really been in the group this week, you started to see some of the speakers start to show up for the conference. Probably in the next couple of days, we will be able to put a 1-pager out with everybody at one time. I think we're waiting on 1 or 2 more headshots of people with their hair did the right way and a little bit about, you know, what they're talking about. But, you know, we've got OP and Tim, we've got Ben Justinson, Jeremy Reitz is going to be here, Jerry Edel, Timothy Miller, Jonathan Grubb and Seth are going to, not Seth, Jonathan and Stellar, I don't know Stellar's name, are going to be on stage together talking about PPC. And I think we might have a surprise or 2 pop in. And then some of our, believe it or not, guys, some of our sponsors are going to speak a little bit about their product, but it's exactly what we need to hear. Some of them are experts in their field and experts to speak about some things that come up in our group all the time. So keep your eyes open in the group. The sponsors are coming in. We are allowing the sponsors to, you know, I mean, we're promoting them because they're supporting us. So I feel that's not an overreach for anyone. Parker's showing us stuff at Home Depot that he's wanting to buy. With that said, I know I haven't given him, and Joe, I'm going to let you run as long as you want to, and everybody can stay as they want. But I want to introduce, everybody knows, but I wanted to roll into Joe Ledbetter. Something as a leadership group of this group, which includes a lot of people that you don't always see and aren't very vocal, but they're very definitely good thought leaders and things like that. But what we've decided is what this group needs are campaigns and initiatives. So O&P was a very long campaign, and it's still there. It's not going away. That discussion needs to stay there, but we don't need to hyper focus on it because we're not talking about a lot of other things. Pricing feedback is a very big one, and we probably haven't covered it enough. But we're going to create new campaigns, and we're literally going to make a new campaign. Depending on what it is, it might be a smaller one, so it might be just for the month, or it might be more of a quarter, right? It might be a 3-month session because there's so many sub campaigns inside of it. And so O&P, pricing feedback have been some of the larger ones and hopefully successful. And they won't go away, but they won't take precedent over everything else. So Joe and Jonathan have been a big proponents of building the campaign platform. And without further ado, Mr. Detroit.
What's going on, Clark?
Hey, buddy.
So, as Clark said, we're rolling out a new campaign, specifically a couple of different things. Mainly what we're looking to do is talk about relationships. What we want to be able to do over the next couple of weeks is share in these roundtables how to build very specific relationships. We're going to want to talk about building relationships with adjusters, with agents, with employees, with vendors. Building relationships, anybody that talks, every time they talk, they use the word relationship. The problem is most of them don't make relationships. They fake them, right? Like they fake them. We all fake relationships on some level. And we want to get real, and we want to talk about making relationships. And what does that do for your business? What does that do for your morale? What does it do for your company culture? What does it do for making the right relationships? So the next couple of weeks, we're going to carry that conversation, and we want to see it carried specifically in the news feed on Facebook. The other thing that we're rolling out is, as everybody understands, we're all here for a reason. That reason is individual. It's in here, right? But the greater good is to give back in some way, shape, or form. So there's a reason you call yourself a rebel. We want everyone, and I mean everyone, to take their camera and shoot a selfie video explaining why you're a rebel. Do it in the funnest environment you can. Job sites, shops, mold jobs, crawl spaces, I don't care. Make it entertaining. But tell us why you're a rebel. And we want you to put it on the thread. The other thing that we're going to be moving forward with as an admin group, we're going to start to determine and kind of work with some other individuals, and we want to be able to identify the rebel of the month. So we're going to be looking for those rebels that are really engaged in what's going on, asking questions, participating, and we're going to reach out to them, and we're going to try to do some additional marketing with them for their own stuff. But we want to showcase these people. So these are the big campaigns that we're working on. We have a couple of more that we're looking at for the following month. But it's time, guys. It's time to be real about what we're doing. So we want to talk about real relationships. We want to talk about real business growth. We want to talk about real colleagues, not competitors. I'm really excited. I really am. I think we got a bright future. We have an awesome admin team starting to develop a lot of really good structure. It's the structure we need to move this group forward. And it's really exciting to be a part of it.
I agree. I think we have a lot to talk about, and when we don't talk about them in a deep way, in a real calm and meaningful way, and get everyone's input, it becomes more like complaining. But when we start to really dig into it, we start solving some of the problems and making the conversation shift over how do I apply that. Now I buy into your idea, but how do I apply it to my business, my market, in my structure of my company? So I agree with you, and thank you, Joe. And Jonathan is continuing to. Jonathan had some time off this week. He had to take some much needed R&R, but going to get back onto the podcast. I looked at some of the insights, and they were extremely well received outside of the Rebel group. I saw LinkedIn. I saw some people. Honestly, I will tell you, I think, Jonathan, I think you saw this. Someone that had been a quote-unquote enemy of the Rebels commented that said, listen, I just watched all 3 of these videos, and I'm extremely color me impressed. It tells me something different about your group than what I thought from the outside looking in, and that's all I want. I want more of that. So this was not an enemy, but someone who wanted to be an enemy. They just didn't know they were a friend. So Jonathan's going to get back on that. Thursday, we are doing our next webcast with I think we promised it a few times, but we got it all lined out with the cybersecurity team. We had a pre-interview conversation, and so I'm looking forward to that, and I think the content's going to be really good. So we're going to do that and release it. I won't say how long, probably a couple of days to a week. It'll be ready. But and then, Joe already mentioned it. I had it written down here, but we're going to do Rebel of the Month. And everybody here is different. We have some younger, some older, some with experience in different areas, and some with experience in construction that have moved over to this, and different types of businesses that morphed into what they are now. And I think it's all great content. It's pretty much all I had. I'm going to open it up and let it be open. There's been a lot of good comments in the group on the thread. If anybody has something they want to talk about, this will be a fantastic time. I do think I saw someone new come in. Joey Montijo. This your first time here, buddy? I think he's muted. Yeah, I can't.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can't. You know what? I was actually on last week, but I didn't announce myself. But yeah, I'm Joey Montijo with Flood Solutions, out of San Diego, California. I don't recall where I found the group. I think I go to the Actionable Insights forum, so I think somebody might have been talking about it there. But we do water and mold. That's our specialty, and rebuilds.
Nice. Did you hear a while ago talking that Nathan Raymond, we have a local chapter that's built for, I don't know if you're connected with Raymond right now, but I know Nathan's probably dropping in a PM now, but we're doing local chapters, and they're getting together doing some really good things. And I think there's still, San Diego probably has 100 contractors, and
there's
I think
a lot.
There's a lot. And, you don't want to be partners with everybody.
I'd probably say about 1,000 plus.
Yeah, I've heard it somewhere up there.
There's 1,000
We're
contractors.
saturated.
Yeah, it's unreal.
Damage restoration contractors, every other corner there's one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Saturated market.
Well, I think what's happening is some people have been here a few times, but they were all Clark Brown before, and my plan has failed. They're no more Clark Browns. Next week, they're all going to be Dave Myers and Bob Timmels, babyface Bob Timmel. Don Walker. It's dark there. You might be in Alaska, but Don, have you been here before? And Don has left the building. Well, man, open it up. Anybody? Lindsay, you always have a lot to say. What you got?
How is everybody?
Good.
I have officially just partnered up with Get the Clicks out of Orlando, Florida. They do website development. So anybody in need of a website.
Get the Clicks?
Yes, Get the Clicks. If you Google restoration SEO company, 9 times out of 10, depending on where you are, it should come up like number 1. If anybody's ever heard of Scott Tarpley's Large Loss and How to Get Paid class, Stefan is usually one of the speakers there. And so basically my position here is to be a go-between. Since I know the industry, I can collect all the info from you of what you want your website to say and make sure that they put it together in a way that makes sense for you in a timely fashion.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lindsay. Has anyone here ever been to, and I thank you, Lindsay. Has anyone here ever been to Tom McGuire's Large Loss Mastery group? Anybody here know that? This isn't really a large loss group, but I had lunch this week with Tom Conroy with Odorox, who is a sponsor for the summit for the 2nd year in a row. And there's a large conference. I think they have twice a year, maybe 3 times. Bring in some really, really big instructors. And they actually Dallas Stadium. What's the stadium there called in Dallas Cowboys? I think it's Cowgirl Stadium. I'm not real sure. I think it's AT&T Field. And they will have a large workshop. I think it might be 2 days. Danny, have you been to that before? Have you ever heard of this? And they will actually create a simulation of this place catches fire. And the group splits up and they have to create scope. They have to create. It's anyways really interesting to me. T&M Plus is always there in Sunbelt, and they're doing another one. I just didn't know. They're not sponsors. They're not. I'm not getting paid for it. I just didn't know if anybody had ever attended, but it sounds like a really good high level indoctrination into large loss. And I think this next one is going to be in June. I can't go. Me and Andy will be down under. It's going to be in Chicago, and it's at an art museum. The Chicago Museum of Art is where they're holding it, and they're actually going to simulate a large water loss and fire loss at an art museum, dealing with how to recover some of the artwork and deal with some of that complexities of that. So that's my world, and I love it. But T&M billing, the whole bit. So I just wanted to bring it up. Andy, it's all yours, man. I know you've been holding it up, and you might explode. Go ahead.
Oh, I just got all artsy on you. I'm taking photos and posting them on Facebook. We're gonna have Instagram. Good week. Good topics. All very important. We're going to have a 501c3 in place for this entire group by the summit. I'm going to commit to you to have that done. That means just more layers of administration and more layers of organization. Our little baby is growing up. That's just what it comes down to. We're just not a bunch of rabble rousers getting together and eating some potato salad. We're actually doing some real work now. So we got to be big boys and put our big boy pants on. Not what I like. I'm very anti. I know you guys that know me. I'm just anti-organization, anti-structure. But there are things that we have to do that requires it. Exactly. So I don't know. I have nothing to add. I love you guys. We're gonna keep rolling on. You guys down there in San Diego, let me know how next week goes. Next Friday, it's gonna be awesome. And you guys just keep doing good work. Keep loving each other. Keep lifting each other up. And we'll see you next week. Yeah. All right. See ya.